Not bad,
Really,
Andrew.
the wind got
Not
it there.
bad. Look at the wind on that. Welcome to Meandmygolf TV. You've joined us on the 12th at the Asprey. I'm Piers Ward.
Yes, and today we're answering your questions on pitching. I'm Andy Proudman. Let's take charge of your game.
Right then, it's time for Go Low. This is where we answer your questions on your game to help you go low.
Yes, and if you want to get involved and ask us any questions, then please hit us up on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and post your questions today for next week's question. And also, if you haven't already been so, make sure you go to meandmygolf.com to check out lots more great videos on there as well.
Do that. And also make sure you, when you ask the question, use the hashtag #GoLow. So right, today we have a pitching question from Jeremy Conn. This is a really detailed question, and I love this question. So he's saying that should we maintain the V between our arms and have no wrist set in the backswing, and then should we turn our hips and our chest on the through swing? So Andy, can you just piece that together for people?
Yeah, so let's just explain what Jeremy's talking about here. So he's saying that the V between the arms that we have at the setup here, should we maintain that in the backswing, use the body and the hips to turn, but have no wrist set? So you can see here I have no wrist set, and then on the way through, again, use those hips and that torso to turn through. So the hands are very, very passive, so we're not really creating too much of the wrist set. So it's a great question.
Very much about rotation of the body,
yeah.
and not actually using your arms and your levers and your wrists that much. So what sort of effect does that have on the shot? Okay,
so let's just talk about how that affects it then. So as we swing back, whenever we limit the wrists, what it does, the limit of the wrists actually creates a shallow angle of approach to the golf ball. So you can see here that club is going to be delivered on a very shallow angle to that ball.
Okay, so with that in mind also, the wrist, not using the wrist, how can that create, what's that going to do to the distance of the shot, or the power?
It is going to limit power. So whenever we take wrist out of it, it's another lever there that we use to create power. So when we take that out, it's going to limit the distance that you can hit the golf ball. So compared to using those wrists, as we use the wrist in the backswing here, you know, that there is going to create a lot more power because the club heads travel a lot further. But when that club head travels further, it's going to gain more speed.
Absolutely.
Now also, when we create more of a wrist set on the way back, that is also going to create a steeper angle into the golf ball. So a lot different, quite a different action, and probably going to use it in a different situation. No wrist set to the wrist set.
Definitely. So Jeremy, what you're saying is your version, or the version you've asked about, is a lot shallower with less distance. Obviously, you know, creating wrist is going to get that steeper angle of attack. It's going to give you more distance as well.
So we would probably recommend to use this shot off a flat lie, so no wrist set, off a flatter lie when you are sub 50 yards. Now we've got 49 yards here to this one, so this is perfect to actually demonstrate it.
Yeah, so I think if you go past that 50-yard barrier, look, there's no exact number, obviously it depends on the person, but generally when people go past 50 yards and they don't use their wrists, they really have to attack it then, or go to a really low loft, which sometimes doesn't suit the situation. So obviously, as Andy said there, the lie is important. If you are in the rough and the grass is up behind the golf ball, then you're probably going to need to get down into that steeper angle of attack. Definitely. Okay, so Andy, can we just play a few shots actually? Just actually going to watch you go through these. So as Andy plays these shots, you just notice now Andy usually does use his wrists when he does his pitching, so he's going to have to make a conscious effort to not do so with this. But you'll notice the rotation of the body without the wrist working much on the backswing. So you may say, Andy feels as though he's got zero. Hello. Ooh.
Close one.
Andy feels like he's got zero wrist there, but you can see there was a little bit, but he's definitely restricting it. Notice also the contact with the ground, a lot less of a divot. Hardly any divot being taken there, a little bit of grass coming up.
So I really do feel that there's no wrists at all here, and the body motion is really controlling everything here that I'm doing. And you can see there, that was a little bit thin, but I'm collecting that ball off. And we always talk about this, Pierce, when the club is a lot shallower on these shots, even if you miss-hit it, it's generally going to be a better shot when that club is generally digging into the ground there.
Well, that's a perfect example because that ball has actually ended up closer than his first one, and as Andy said, he caught it a little bit clean. Now, yeah, I mean, look, think of this. If the club comes down at a steep angle, especially when the ground is soft, your club better hit the ball in the right place. So you better hit the ball first and then down into the ground, because if you get it wrong, obviously you're going to duff it or you could thin it quite badly. Whereas with this type of action, you could actually hit the ground as much to an inch behind the ball, depending on the grass, as much to an inch behind the ball, because the club isn't getting slowed down with the interaction with the ground. Coming in like that, it's going to stick and stop. This way, you're going to be using the bounce on the bottom of the club. We hear a lot about that these days, but you're going to be getting this shallower attack.
That's a good point. So for those at home who do hit those steep divots, you know, from this shorter distance, give this a go. Have a go at limiting these wrists and using more of the body. But I think the key thing is to bear in mind is, like you say, it's finding that distance where you don't have to be too aggressive with the body and then you sacrifice the control then.
Yeah, it's all about practice, it's all about practice. A couple of other notes on this shot. Steve Stricker pretty much plays his pitch shots like this, and he's pretty much, you know, pound for pound one of the best pitchers out there at the moment. Another reason why we picked 49 yards is because that's the distance that Padraig Harrington at Carnoustie, when he won the Open Championship, he was in a ditch, he had to drop his ball. He was dropping it within pitching distance. He said to his caddy, give me 49 yards. He dropped it 49 yards because for a lob wedge, he knew that he could hit this shot full power, so he would have no wrists. It would be a half swing, but he could hit it hard and be aggressive, and obviously rely on getting the distance control, and he did that perfectly.
And that's something that he would have practiced a lot.
Yeah, he would have worked.
He would have made sure he's done a lot of practice of that, so he knew exactly how that ball was going to react.
Yeah, he's notorious for that, isn't he? He actually wouldn't have done that. So, Jeremy, look, it's a fantastic question. Should you do this? Yeah, I think you should. If you feel comfortable, especially if you're someone who takes big divots, then I'd definitely recommend this. Definitely recommend it. And if you're someone who maybe struggles to control the distance as well, then definitely give it a go. And
it's a great question, I think, that Jeremy said here, that when we're talking about these things, there are no set things. You know, we should say you must do this or you must do that. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to give you as many different ways to find and play these shots. So for some of you there, this might work great, but for others, it might not work that good.
Absolutely.
Every golfer is different, but you may find that this could help these short pitches for you.
Upon our own personal preference, Andy would prefer to have slightly more wrist cock. Yeah. I actually prefer more what you're saying, Jeremy, to go with less wrist cock. So, but having seen Andy's shots though, especially the first two, you may have to change it. Okay, Jeremy, fantastic question. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Don't forget, guys, go to the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter today. Post your answer, your question, should I say, using the hashtag GOLO. Don't forget to go to meandmygolf.com. And Andy, we'll see them soon.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.